So I want to talk to you about two things regarding these cities of refuge. There's a person of refuge. A person of refuge. Now, when you're little and you're in trouble, you want to go to your mom or your dad. They give you refuge. They protect you. They watch over you. Who do we go to for refuge as believers? Who is our person of refuge? It's the Lord Jesus. It's the Lord Jesus. So I want you to look here at Numbers 35. Skip down to verse 22. He's talking about the manslayer. If he thrust him suddenly without enmity, or have cast upon him anything without laying of weight, that's premeditation, or with any stone wherewith a man may die, seeing him not, and cast it upon him, that he die, and was not his enemy, neither sought his harm. The congregation shall judge, that's the jury, shall judge between the slayer and the revenger of blood according to these judgments. And the congregation shall deliver the slayer out of the hand of the revenger of blood, and the congregation shall restore him to the city of his refuge where he was fled, and he shall abide in it until the death of the high priest, which was anointed with holy oil. So let me just stop here and say a few things. Many years ago, I went to a friend's church. It was a missions revival, and there was a man who was preaching who had a youth ministry, a very popular youth ministry at the time. And in the middle of his message, he gave a testimony. And I know a lot of preachers from down south, they like to cry in the middle of their message. I get all that. But this guy wept sorely for a reason. He gave testimony that one night he was driving home from a meeting, and it was dark and he was tired. And the rain was pouring down. And he's driving down a street. There's a teenage boy, a young teenage boy, on a bicycle who had just gone to the store for his family and was driving home, and it was dark. He had no neon, nothing flashing, no lights. Just didn't see him in the rain. And he felt a thud on his car. And he stopped the car and got out and saw the bike and then saw the boy lying there. And one of the neighbors in the houses called the police and the ambulance. And that boy later died in the hospital. And this man gave witness that he went through that in his mind every single day of his life. And 7 or 8 years had passed. Every day he thought about that. Every day he wept before God because he had taken a boy's life without intention. And it bothered him, and he said that it would gnaw at his heart until he got to glory. And he just had trouble dealing with it. This is what we're talking about here. There's a place for those people to go for refuge. And there's a person that they go to. Who's the person? Look at the end of verse 25. He shall abide in that city until the death of who? The high priest. And notice how God, finishes that verse. Who was anointed with holy oil. Who is the high priest a picture of? Who is he a figure of? The Lord Jesus Christ. The Lord Jesus Christ. There's a person that you and I can go to. Why? Because we're saved. We're born again. We've repented of our sin. He loved us and died and shed his blood for our sin. And now we can go to him with our sin. Now we can go to him with our care, our worry, our heartache. We can pour our heart out to him. Why? He died for us. He loves us. He's our refuge. He's the person that we go to when we're overwhelmed and the world is crashing in upon us. He is the person of refuge. Psalm chapter 9, verse 7. Let me just give you a few verses out of the Psalm. Psalm 9, verse 7. And as we turn there, let me remind you of something. King David, for many years, was hunted in the wilderness by King Saul, his own king, who wanted to kill him. And not only